Bond. James Bond.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Did we just become best friends?
Yup! Sublime!
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Tear me apart, Lisa!
But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of You Haven't Seen That, a movie discussion podcast where we introduce our friend Ben to movies he should have seen a long time ago. I'm your host, Amanda.
I'm Geoff.
And I'm Ben.
And today we have a little bit of a warning, I'll say. I think this is only probably the second time I've had to do this, but this week we watched American Pie. And so just, there's going to be some discussion that maybe is a little less family friendly than our usual discussions. So, NSFW warning.
American Pie, released July of 1999. Little news around this date to spark your memories. The number one song in the United States this time was If You Had My Love by Jennifer Lopez. A weird number one. Was not expecting that to be the number one. I don't know if I've even properly heard that song.
J-Lo was a big deal back then.
That's true.
If you had my love and I gave you all my trust, would you? That's the
song.
Oh,
that song. Yep. There we go.
Just don't know the title.
A lot of sports news around this time. Just before this movie came out, Pete Sampras beat Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf beat Lindsay Davenport at Wimbledon. And the very next day after this movie came out, Brandi Chastain scored the final penalty of the Women's World Cup to have the United States beat China.
Sorry, not to cut you off.
Yeah, cut me off.
Another movie from 1999.
Yes.
We did so many 1999 movies in last year in season one.
Yeah. It was a good year for movies.
I need to do like a deep dive and write down like every single movie that came out this year because it feels like it was just a year of nonstop bangers.
I think, was it The Ringer that did like on the must have been the 20th or the 25th anniversary, they did like a big thing about 1999 movies.
They did. That's right. They had a whole blowout for that. They had a movie draft. They had a whole article series. It's crazy. This is a very deep year.
Yeah, seriously.
Unbelievably.
Anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. A little synopsis of American Pie for those who might not know. At a high school party, four friends find that losing their collective virginity isn't as easy as they had thought, but they still believe that they need to do so before college. To motivate themselves, they enter a pact to all score, quote unquote, by their senior prom. Directed by Paul Weitz, this stars a whole myriad of people, and for many of them, this is their first feature film. But for others, a very surprise appearance. Jason Briggs, Chris Klein, Allison Hannigan, Tara Reid, Natasha Lyonne, Sean William Scott, Eugene Levy, Jennifer Coolidge, John Cho, in an uncredited appearance, Casey Affleck, future Oscar winner, and something I didn't notice until this time seeing it, Blink-182, the whole band. They're just part of the garage band. Totally caught me off guard. This movie was originally rated NC-17, but needed to be edited down in order to get the R rating. This movie had an $11 million budget, and it debuted number one at the box office, dethroning Wild Wild West, Amanda's favorite movie.
Look at Wow.
Before giving up that spot to the very next week to Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. This movie ended up grossing $235 million at the box office, nearly over 20x its budget. And while it was not nominated for any Academy Awards, this was recognized at a number of different award ceremonies. Eugene Levy won, what was the award that he won? Favorite Supporting Actor in a Comedy at the Blockbuster Entertainment Awards. And this was nominated for 4 MTV Movie Awards.
I was going to say this had to have been an MTV Movie Award player.
4 MTV Movie Awards and 6 Teen Choice Awards, including my favorite of them, Best Movie Chemistry between Jason Biggs and the Pie.
That's incredible.
However, it did not win any awards at either of those ceremonies.
still to be nominated. What an honor for
What an
that
honor.
pie. Uh, I mean, obviously, a movie very cemented in history, good or bad.
You can say that again for sure.
All right. So, Geoff, why don't you tell us your history with American Pie?
Weirdly, I don't have a crazy history with this movie. In 1999, I've said this probably with every other movie that we've done from 1999. I was 7 years old, so did not see this at the movie theaters. And by the time I was of appropriate age to see a movie like this, I was prioritizing other comedies, if you will. Movies like the Will Ferrell, Judd Apatow movies, like Anchorman or Step Brothers, or maybe movies like Superbad. So this movie never really held a special place in my heart. It's one that I've maybe seen in its entirety, maybe like 3 times, but really not that much of a watch for me.
All right. And what about you, Ben?
So I was coming out of sixth grade in the summer of 1999. So I definitely wasn't like interested in seeing it at that time. It was a little, even like there was no chance as a sixth grader I was going to see this movie, and it wasn't really something that I don't think a lot of my peers were seeing either. Unlike The Mummy, which was a few months earlier and a big, to do, as I mentioned on that. But I did share this story with Amanda and Geoff when we were discussing possibly doing this movie. But a few years later, I think in 2002, I would have been 15 in the summer of 2002. And my extended family got a lake house, and the adults stayed in one, and the cousins stayed in one house, and the cousins stayed in the other house. And I was, aside from my brother and sister, I'm the youngest cousin on that side. So my cousins, some of them are like 20 years older than me, some of them are, so they were all like in their, I guess, upper teens, 20s, and even 30s at the time. And I was 15. And we were at the cousin's house, and my mom was over there kind of getting us set to stay. It was a big deal that we were staying at the cousin's house and not having to stay with my parents. And they were all going to watch American Pie. And my mom would not let me watch American Pie. And I was horrified and humiliated and angry. Um, and it was my brother too, who is a couple years younger than me. And I understand now, like probably, why she wouldn't let us watch at 13 and 15, but I did not understand at the time. I did not care for that situation because I felt embarrassed that I had to stay up in the bedroom and not watch American Pie with my cousins. Um, so I feel like other than that, like I feel like I know a lot of the references to this movie. Like it's become such a cultural, I know about the pie, I know about the one time at band camp, I know about the various kind of Stifler's mom and things, just these things that have like I feel like permeated pop culture for a long time. But I never went back and saw it and didn't really have an interest in seeing it as I got older.
And say when you told us that story the other day, I said you would have to tell us after you watched it. Do you agree with your mom's
Well,
decision?
I feel like I knew I would agree even before I watched it.
Just gotta have some
as a 38-year-old with a child versus a 15-year-old with, only worrying about looking cool. The motivations are different.
Well, there you go. If you're listening, Ben's mom, you were right. You made the right call.
I'd say it was a more clear-cut call than The Mummy, too.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I think that's fair for sure.
Yes.
So I do not remember the first time I watched this movie, like pretty much every movie. I am guessing I probably watched it a little earlier than I should have. Again, I feel like I've said with a lot of these movies, just because I had an older sister who was like in 1999, she would have been like 18, 19, so like prime audience for this movie. Not saying that I watched it when I was like 8 or 9, because I definitely don't think I did, but I probably knew about it, whereas maybe I wouldn't have known about it otherwise. I'm guessing I probably watched it for the first time maybe in late middle school or early high school. And it's one that I've seen quite a few times over the years, along with the second one and the reunion, I think. I can't remember if I've seen the wedding one. But one and two are definitely ones that I've rewatched quite a few times. So, Geoff, what is your score for American Pie?
This movie is so stupid. It's so ridiculous. There are a lot of elements to this that are very deep. They have not aged well. We'll just put it like that. Cough, cough, the webcam scene. But outside, I have a very fun time watching this movie. I understand it's not a masterpiece by any stretch, but you know what? It's a great turn your brain off and have fun and laugh at all the inappropriate jokes. So I'm going to go with a 3.25.
All right. And what about you, Ben?
Um, it, I'm gonna give it a 3. Um, I think it has some sweeter elements than I thought it did.
Mhm.
Going in, I thought it was just like very raunchy, like assumed it was just very raunchy all the way through. It actually really um isn't at times, and there's some sweetness to some of the characters, which we'll get into. But I I don't care for like bodily fluid jokes in general, and there's a lot of them in this movie. And so I can't really go above a 3, but I actually probably would have guessed I would have given it lower before I watched it. So 3 is probably a pretty top end for a movie like this for me.
I'm impressed with that, Ben.
As am I. That was higher than I thought you were going to give it as well, but that's awesome.
During the poop scene, I turned to Geoff and I was like, Ben's gonna hate this.
And I did. It's like I'm not like a prude about like language or violence or anything, but I just hate those kinds of scenes. I always have.
That's fair.
No, I was just giggling. Um, I similar to what Geoff said, well, really what both of you have said. This movie rides a hard line of like enjoyment versus how good of a movie it is versus how well has it aged. Um, and you know, definitely not aged well in a couple spots, like Geoff said, and I pointed some of those parts out. But there's just that nostalgia part of my brain that can't turn off and be like, no, well, you can't like this movie. So it's tough. I recognize that some of the messages in this are absolutely horrible, and I don't think anyone should be behaving like this. But darn it, if I just don't really enjoy watching this movie and still find it very funny. So I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Nice. We're all kind of in the same ballpark. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's first of all,
Well,
I want to say, sorry. We watched this on VHS.
We did watch this on
oh
VHS.
wow.
I have a
Wow.
VHS copy, and I was very disappointed because I was excited to see what trailers they would show. But there were no trailers. It just kind of
Oh,
went straight into the movie.
that's
Um,
surprising.
yeah, and it was just the film quality was so like dark in
Yeah.
places, and we had like these little squiggly lines that were like going over the screen like almost the whole time, but it
So
It
it was
really
looked
like,
just
much better on
added.
Peacock.
I bet.
Really just added to the experience.
I feel like it's a great way to watch a movie like American
Felt
Pie.
like you were like in your friend's basement in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
1,000%. It's like the very first scene in the movie when he's
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
watch
that's
the
right.
one TV channel and it's all grainy, and he's like, "Oh, that's her." Yep, it was like that, but not really that
I
bad.
I want to jump in real quick since you both brought it up in your ratings. The the webcam scene. I so like, typically I'm one of those people who doesn't feel like we need to apply 2025 standards to old films, and I
Yeah.
don't
Mhm.
I get kind of frustrated when people do that, but like that wouldn't have been okay in 1999 either.
Yes,
No.
What are we,
absolutely. What are we doing here, y'all?
The whole scene is just so bizarre because I was like, first of all, them getting excited that she was going to change her clothes at his house. I was like, okay, she's going to change her clothes, right?
Like,
But then
ooh,
it like turns into this whole thing, right? And I'm like, who just takes off their clothes and is just walking around, touching things and looking at things, and then goes as far as she does? I'm like, who? This is so just in the realm of fantasy. Like, I can't even
And her being a foreign
imagine.
exchange student is just like the most like stereotypical situation.
So stereotypical.
And then she like vanishes from the movie. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, she's in that very ending little scene that on the webcam again, but
Yeah,
like,
she got
like
sent back.
usually, but that doesn't usually happen like before the end of the school year.
I mean, they were really appalled by what the entire world saw.
Her behavior. Well, that was
Uh,
also like what, I mean, also like Shannon Elizabeth, like what country are you supposed to be from, honey?
who knows?
We're swinging between a lot of different accents here.
There's a lot going on here that doesn't quite work.
Yeah, but that whole thing is just
It's icky.
it is like from the moment that they're like that they suggest the idea, and even Finch, who's like, I don't like the man, but he's got a point, and I'm just like, really, really, you guys are just okay. And right, I guess, well, they didn't realize it was going to be broadcast to like the entire world. They thought it was just going to be like the five of them, which isn't any better. But yeah, that the fact that that got like greenlit in a movie is just
It's wild.
crazy.
Well, and something I read about it after the fact was that that they were screenwriter Adam Hers was admitted to wanting to make a film that was less sexist than teen movies of the past, like Porky's, but did not. But then admitted he did not totally succeed. I was like, yeah, not even really a little.
Not
I mean, I
close.
haven't seen Porky's, but like
Yeah.
there was a someone who said the film gives so little thought to the opposite sex, who are either brazenly lusty or careful gatekeepers of their own chastity, waiting for an "I love you" or some other show of sensitivity like a password at a speakeasy. Women seem as inexplicable to the filmmakers themselves as they are to the characters.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Falls into a lot of those tropes from those kind of older male gaze sex comedies
Yeah.
in this time. And I don't know exactly kind of where it falls, whether this might have been a kickoff point for some movies or whether this was kind of in the middle, but
It feels to me like it's almost like a bridge between
Mhm.
like the like sex comedies of like the 80s and 90s into like the more like the Judd Apatow, kind of body comedies of the 2000s.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's a good point. Fun
Yeah,
fact about
no.
the movie Porky's, it is directed by Bob Clark, who you know from other movies such as A Christmas Story.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know that I'd ever done this before, but I did actually gag when Stifler drank that beer.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so gross.
It's funny, you've seen the movie so many times, Amanda, and you still like ugh.
I wrote down gag for that.
Oh yeah, me too.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, I knew it was happening and I knew it was coming. I just like, I don't think I've ever actually gagged, but for some reason, this watch like really got me, and I was like,
And
oh no.
they tease it for like a minute or more. I'm like almost
It's incredible. That must have been an incredible experience in the theater.
At least it happened to Stifler though.
Yes, of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
It happened to him. I got to imagine that was an incredible experience in the theater. Watching it with a bunch of other like teens and young adults, just everybody laughing, holding your breath, going "aw, and then whatever. That must have been incredible.
Yeah.
Ugh.
The cast really though is quite impressive. Like they're, I feel like it's like a who's who of like teen movie stars from that era. And I know this one made a lot of them into stars. And a lot of them have had, success since too. It's interesting though, like I feel like the one I know most is Natasha Lyonne, because I love Poker Face, but she's the one who's kind of I feel like changed the most. Like I feel like Jason Biggs, last I saw him, he looks pretty much the same and acts kind of the same. But Natasha Lyonne, she's been through some things, I know, and she seems a lot different now than she did in the film.
That's funny because I feel like she's very similar.
Well, I mean, like mannerisms, yes, but her voice is so different. I feel like she looks different. Definitely,
I can see that.
The
Definitely
voice,
the
I think,
voice.
is the biggest thing.
The voice is very much scragglier, and I know she's I see her in like press and stuff like smoking a lot. So I don't know.
And then I feel like others
Shannon
Shannon Elizabeth and Mina Suvari, like I feel like they were like everywhere back then. I feel like I haven't seen them around that much lately.
Mm-mm. Definitely not.
No.
I feel like they
Jason,
were in like everything at that time.
I just saw Jason Biggs and Chris Klein in two separate like Netflix movies, and both of them look very similar today. Sean William Scott was just in The Righteous Gemstones in a supporting
Yes.
role. It's very fun to
Mhm.
see him branching out a little bit more beyond comedy stuff. But yeah, it is crazy to think that for so many of these people, like this was their first or second movie and first real notable sort of role, and then to have it be something like this so perfectly made for them, it's incredible. Chris Klein, especially, he had a great 1999. He had this and Alexander Payne's Election, which from our 1999 movie, our 1999 top things episode from, I think that was for The Matrix. That was my number one movie of the year. So, and he plays he's a very similar personality type in that movie as he does in this movie.
Yeah. I was really happy when, what's his name? Stifler, when he was in The Righteous Gemstones, because I feel like for a long time he was just kind of typecast as the Stifler character
Oh, for
in
sure.
everything that he was in. So
I feel like I've
I'm
kind
like,
of like even without seeing American Pie, I feel like I've kind of just thought of Sean William Scott as that character, even without knowing the character that well. He's just
right.
like
Mm-hmm.
speaking of like characters, like I feel like every 90s and early 2000s movie and TV show has a character who looks like and acts like Sherman.
Oh, yeah,
Like
absolutely.
like that's like a look of a kid that I don't know that there's like kids who look like that anymore. But I feel like everything has this like, you know, kind of nerdy affect but diabolical like
Mm-hmm.
personality. Like I feel like that is like such a trope of that era of TV shows and movies.
With the super spike, with the clearly gelled spiky
Yep.
hair.
And like the braces and the acne and the like, you
Yep.
Oh
know, I
yeah.
don't, you know.
Kind of nasally voice. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I
And I
do
feel
love
like I
the
went to
Shermanator.
school with a lot of kids like Sherman, like, but I don't know that I don't know what the modern equivalent is. I feel like there isn't quite that type anymore.
I was about to say, Ben, you would know better than any of us being a teacher.
Well, but yeah, I don't know that side of the
Okay,
kids.
that's right. Touche. Just you're doing your own little market research, walking around the school, just being like, personality type assessments here, early on in the school year.
So while we're on the actors, how believable did we think this was in terms of being high school aged?
I feel like it wasn't bad. And some of
I
them, I
agree.
looked it up, like some of them really were like probably 18, 19 when this was filmed.
I agree. I didn't actually look up any of their ages, but I was like, some of
Yeah.
them looked like they were probably more like college age, but I was like,
Yeah.
no, I
I
don't feel like
I
there's any 40-year-olds in
no, I
here.
did look up the ages of some of them. I think the oldest is Shannon Elizabeth. I think she was like 25 or so.
Hmm.
Which one is she?
She's the exchange student.
Oh, okay.
But she couldn't be a teenager for what she had to do in that movie.
That's fair.
But the others, yeah, I mean, like I think Jason Biggs and a few of the others were like 19, 20 years old when it was 18, 19 years old when it was filmed, 19, 20 when it came out.
It's very believable. It absolutely is. And whether it be from the tone of their voices to how they act around each other to how they behave at parties and everything, it is so, so believable, especially compared to some other movies. The
Right.
first
It's
thing
not
I think
Grease.
of, it's not Grease. It's not the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, which is very, very obviously not high school age people. But yeah,
Wasn't there
it's
one
they do a good
recently we
job.
watched where we were like,
Oh, yeah, there was
Yeah.
one.
Dear Evan Hansen
well,
Yes.
yes, that must have been it. Yeah. Yeah.
coming back to haunt us once again.
And there's a musical element to this movie, so there you go. Perfect crossover.
So somehow I obviously knew about the band Camp Girl because that has been like, you know,
Hmm.
quoted to death since I was in middle school. Um, I actually didn't know the choir storyline or the like any part of that.
Yeah.
Do you think it's
Um,
funny that that choir isn't even good?
Yeah, that was the thing we noted too when we watched like towards the end when Oz goes to play lacrosse and the other kid gets to solo. Amanda made the comment as we were sitting there. She goes, "Yeah, that kid's so much better than Oz as he's practicing and getting ready to sing." And
And then
everyone's
the
like,
other kid is like, "You suck."
like very
Like,
clearly not.
but
Well,
their director, she was into everything they did.
she
She
was.
loved it. She was
Well,
like,
that's the
"You guys,
problem. She wasn't critical enough.
no." She thought everything they did was the best.
Um, I think the other thing about that storyline too is that like okay, so I mean I thought Chris Klein and Mina Suvari were very sweet together. Like I liked
Yeah.
that's like a wholesome, sweet story,
Mhm.
amidst all the kind of bawdiness of the movie. But what I like, obviously I'm a person who sports theater and things like that, and we sometimes have to go to battle with sports, just how it always is in high schools and stuff. But like should he have left the game? Like, I feel like no.
Nope.
Like that's a commitment you made to your team. You're playing for like a pretty important, thing, and you're running to do the show choir solo or whatever. Like, I would in that situation if I had a kid, like, first of all, his responsibility to figure out he had the problem. But then like he committed to the team first.
Hmm.
I wouldn't want the reverse to happen. So
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know that leaving your team for that is really a cool move.
I was about to say he is a starting attacking midfielder or forward. He mentioned already this is a rivalry game. This is one of the last games of his lacrosse career. He's played all 4 years of high school, one can assume, and he's been a part of this choir, what, 2 months? The power of the pact, I suppose.
And they already had somebody to fill his place in the choir too.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, he left that game for all of a, what, 1 minute, 15-second song,
Right?
if that.
And he got a lot more out of it, Amanda.
Yeah. He
It's
got he got the whole shebang.
it was funny sitting there because Oz, looking back at this movie, reminded me a lot of high school. Not because like I'm Oz to a T, but I was in the choir and I played lacrosse, and I was awarded in at my high school graduation for my contributions to the arts and athletics. It was a very
There you
weird
go.
award. It was the Stephen Lucchese Award, and I got honored for it on the stage at Kleinhans Music Hall. So very funny sort of crossover with this movie and being like, oh, it's kind of me. Also, shout out to Oz for realizing the power of choir and the ability to get into that co-ed environment. As someone who went to an all-guys school, I bragged about the fact that I was part of choir and musical because there was that co-ed opportunity. So, yeah.
Yeah. American Pie walked so High School Musical could run.
That's a great analogy. You
Or,
went, yeah.
or
Crazy.
Oz walked so that Troy and Gabriella could run.
Incredible.
I also late 90s, early 2000s high schools have such a vibe and a feel to them. Like
Hmm.
So
this is the same
vibey.
thing from
10
what was
Things I
it,
Hate
10
About
Things I
You.
Hate About You. Um, and all those TV shows from that era too. Like they just have such a look to them and such a and it feels like because like these 1999 movies that was a little bit before my high school time, like it feels like this like you know pre 9/11 high school kind of vibe that I feel like we didn't experience.
Hmm.
um that is very, I don't even quite know how to put it into words, but it's like when you see it like it's
Yeah. Or did it ever exist? Is it all just in movie and TV land? You
I
know,
feel like when I've seen pictures and things, I feel like it existed in real life too.
I don't know. Again, we'll have to ask my sister to come on.
I know she's got to
I
be a
feel
guest
like
on our
I feel like this is
1999
the
teen
second
podcast.
time that I've said she needs to come on and tell us about her experiences. This is the call, Jen. Pick up the phone.
Jen, you'll get an entire mini episode devoted to your experience.
Tell us all about high school. I've seen the pictures. I can tell you, she was a cheerleader. So I feel like she really knows,
Yeah.
right? Because she was part of that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like this would have been my high school experience even if I had been at that age, but because it wouldn't have been. But I feel like it was different by the time you got to the mid to late 2000s.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, can we talk about Eugene Levy? Because
He's the
I
best.
love him.
He's the best.
He's good in everything.
He really is.
So good. Every scene that he does is just perfection. Chef's kiss.
And it
So
walks
good.
the wonderful tightrope between being heartfelt and awkward. And you can always tell that his character is his heart is in the right place. But it's so ridiculous and funny to watch. You can all relate. You can all cringe. It's quality stuff.
And he's been a dad for so long.
Well, so I read that Bill Murray was originally considered for the role. And then when Eugene Levy was cast, it was originally written to be like more of a red meat all-American dad type. But then when it was cast with Eugene Levy, it became like more of the neurotic, kind of over-involved, like the Eugene Levy type.
I think that was the right call.
I think so too. I think so too.
Do you know how old he was when he filmed this?
I should know, and I don't.
What's that?
How old he was when he filmed this? I'm just curious
Um,
between like this and Schitt's Creek. Like,
yeah.
what's
Well, he's
how old is
70.
he now?
He's 78 today, so he would have been 53 when this movie came out. So he would have been like 52 or so when he filmed.
Dang, that's crazy. I don't know why. It
Feel-
feels so much long. Like when you say like American Pie to Schitt's Creek, that feels like 100 years. That
Mhm.
feels like the longest distance. But you're just like, oh, he was in his 50s, now he's in his 70s, and I'm like, but wait, what? No,
But
he's like in
there's
his
a lot of
30s.
celebrities who I feel like once they like hit like somewhere in their late 40s to or early 50s or so,
Mhm.
they just like stay at that age for a long time.
Steve Martin is the first name I thought of.
Yeah,
Speaking of
he's
a crossover with Cheaper by or what? Not Cheaper by the Dozen. Whatever that movie is that they did together, Chris Martin or Steve Martin and Eugene Levy. But yeah, he's in that same boat. Yeah, Eugene Levy's in that same boat.
Yeah.
Incredible.
and
We know
obviously
what you've
Eugene
talked
Levy
about.
looks older now than he did,
Yeah.
in that film. But
Mhm.
it is still like he's been old for a long time.
Absolutely.
Add him to the list of people that we've identified as being old forever.
Well, which leads to the other parent in this movie,
Who's like non-existent.
Mrs.
Oh,
Robinson.
oh.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Mrs. Robinson.
It's you would not I would not have known how much of a takeoff that was in that scene if we had not seen The Graduate a couple months ago.
I have never known it. Anytime
yeah.
I've watched it until now.
And it is really playing hard on it, not just the fact that she's older, but like
Right.
the way they play that entire scene is such a takeoff on The Graduate.
Incredible.
Yes. As soon as that song started playing, I was like, no, no. I was like, I hate it. No, go away. I hate that I know this now.
You're just waiting for Scarborough Fair to start playing.
Unlike The Graduate, Finch was way more into this right off the bat.
Finch is insufferable, but not as bad as Dustin Hoffman.
See, at least Dustin Hoffman's character in The Graduate was college aged. He was like early 20s.
Yeah, that's true.
Not
Well,
18.
It's a little less statutory.
Yeah.
But Jennifer
she likes
Coolidge
it.
is like, she's fairly understated in this part, which
She is.
I was surprised by, because I feel like she's always such a type,
Especially over the last 6 years or so.
Yeah, but even like back to like I Want Best in Show came out around this time.
Oh,
and
yes,
she's in
you're
that,
right.
and she's a wild character in that one too.
That's right.
I feel like so I knew her as Stifler's mom for like forever because really the only things I knew her from were this and Legally Blonde.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
so I feel like
which was
that's
also around
why
this time.
Yep.
yeah. And I feel like that's why today's version of Jennifer Coolidge, I'm just like, I don't know.
I mean, she's gotten wackier, but she wasn't unwacky back then.
Yeah, just not. I just didn't see her wacky things, I guess. But speaking of, I was curious when John Cho, who I thought that was very funny that he's in this movie, when he calls her a MILF and
Yes.
he spells out what that stands for, I was like, I wonder if this is where that term came from. And I looked it up, and it's not, they didn't invent the term, but this movie widely popularized that phrase.
I looked that up as well. Yeah, which that's fitting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is funny.
that its popularity would come from this movie.
Right?
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the ones that people like if you ask someone like, "Oh, where did MILF come from?" or whatever, like they wouldn't be able to tell you American Pie.
No.
But it was just funny. And because they spelled it out, I was like, did they just come up with that? Like, did they write that? It's also interesting. They said mother.
Yeah, right. MILF. MILF.
One of
And
the
they all start
things-
chanting it. It's crazy.
One of the things I really liked about this movie, to get like a little more like not serious, but a little more just like observational about it, then is that each story, like for each of these characters, was very unique. Like each one, even though it was all about like them all losing their virginity by prom night, like the avenues each of them took and the storylines with whoever they were involved with were very unique. Like they were, like each one of them had a story that felt kind of organic and natural to their characters, but also still falling within like some sort of trope of high school love. There was like the band camp girl who seems nerdy but is actually, a wild girl, and there's the couple that's been dating for a while but is not, but is saving themselves. There's like the sweet kind of, meet cute of the choir one. Like it's like I feel like it hits a lot of those tropes in different ways, and it comes together more than I thought it would. Like as they were kind of tossing all those things out there, I actually thought it pulled itself together pretty well by the end.
I agree.
Being a fairly short movie.
I agree. Jim, he's on a journey of discovery and confidence building, and by the end, sure, he gets used, but obviously he enjoys it. And he's learned to just realize, you know what, it's okay. I'm just going to be myself, and things happen to work out for him. For Chris, aka Oz, it's a journey about realizing, like, hey, it's not all about me. You don't need to be this big jock. Learn to be sensitive. Yeah, whatever locker room talk and whatever goes on, learn to disregard that and be respectful and be sensitive. And he comes to realize that by the end of the movie. And yeah, and for Kevin and for Vicky, they learn that, look, it's high school love. And you have to realize what you want, learn to come to terms with things, be realistic. And yeah, so you're right, Ben. It's a really good thought. Also, I'm happy that Kevin and Vicky didn't really work out, because that commute from University of Michigan to Cornell, that's a hike.
Not Cornell, Ithaca.
Sorry, Ithaca. At one point they say Cornell and then they say Ithaca, and I was like, I know they're like right next to each other, but
she changed her mind.
She did.
Well, isn't Ithaca also the town name?
Yes.
So maybe it is Cornell, but they were talking about the town.
Beautiful campus. I've been to Cornell a few times. Nice place.
Ever heard of it?
Never heard.
Okay, Andy Bernard.
Ithaca is gorgeous.
That's right. That's what I hear.
Okay, I want to talk about the pie for 2 seconds.
We have not discussed.
Okay, I just need a male
I'm sorry, that's
perspective.
the MTV movie nominated pie, Amanda. For your information, please give it the respect it deserves.
Sorry, get that pie's name out my mouth. I just need a male perspective here. I feel like
I already feel like we're gonna want to cut this part.
Nope, we're not cutting this.
I feel like pie dishes are not very deep.
Nope.
So I just feel like this would have hurt. Right?
He's just taking the pie. I don't even know if he was. I mean, I know it's shown what he did, but like that pie is just a mutilated mess by the end of it. So in theory, I don't know if he was actually doing any sort of act, but maybe he was just like resting it on there after a minute. Like,
when he turns around, the pie dish is like right up on him. And I don't know, I just feel like that would hurt because pie dishes are like this
Yeah.
deep. So
Not like a, yeah,
I think he should have stuck with the fingers, you know?
like a mixing bowl.
Yeah, something. I don't know. That was my thought. I was like, that feels like it would hurt.
Yeah, that's one of those things where even in your journey of self-discovery, I don't think you would need to resort to that. Common sense would prevail in that case, I feel like, in more often than not.
I don't know. Your friends tell you that it's like a warm apple pie, and then your mom just happens to have an apple pie sitting on the counter.
Also, his self-awareness just no clue, just zero, absolutely zero. Doing so many things when his parents are either in the house
Well,
or he
and
knows
doing
what's
that
going
in the
on.
kitchen, like,
Yeah,
well,
right.
like if you were to do it, which, most people wouldn't, I don't think,
Right.
but you'd think you'd at least like take it to your room.
His frontal lobe is not developed yet. Like he can't think. But I love Eugene Levy for being the supportive dad of just saying, "We'll tell your mother we ate the whole thing." Like, it's okay.
I wonder if he's been through a similar sort of journey. I'm sure he has, maybe, but not obviously not to that level of an extreme, but
Yeah, I just love the relief on his face towards the end when he's talking to him about stuff, and he was like, "You want to have a partner. It's more fun when you have a partner." And he's like, "Do you want a partner, Jim?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I do." And just the look of relief on his face because he has caught his son in so many weird scenarios. He's like, "Oh, thank God."
oh, you're not an incel, thank goodness.
He's normal. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Unreal.
yeah.
Oh.
Um, Anyone have any other thoughts or fun things they wanted to point out? No? Okay.
Gonna go heat up some pie after this. Amanda
Oh,
recently made a cherry pie, actually. She took some of the cherries we picked when we visited home recently and
and it
made a
was
cherry
not
pie.
violated.
It was not violated. It was really good.
I just made a note, and this is going way back to our discussion at the beginning about things that did not age well, but this is where toxic masculinity was born. I
Yeah.
mean, not fully,
I was gonna say
it existed before that,
I'm
but
pretty sure it goes back a lot longer.
I know. But the scene where Kevin stands up on the chair when he's trying to get them all in on making this pact, and he's talking about how they're all like owed sex essentially, and I'm like, yeah,
That's pretty gross.
yeah, that didn't age well either. So anyways, I wanted to point that out, and putting a flute up there would hurt. That's all I have to say about that. These people are doing things that hurt.
What happens at band camp stays at band camp.
And you know what? I bet a lot of people went home and did these things because I've heard that okay, so like when Finding Nemo came out, like tons of people went out and bought clownfish
Hmm.
because they were like, I want Nemo, right? And so now when people make movies, they have to think about like what they put in there. Like I think there was another movie that had like a blue heeler dog, and like all these people went out and got blue heeler dogs, but like they're very like not just like
Yeah,
anybody
I
can
mean,
have one because they require so much or whatever. So anyways, I feel like people saw this and did these things.
I mean, maybe, but I think getting a clownfish after seeing Finding Nemo is a little different than doing that with a pie or a flute. After
Just
seeing American
saying.
Pie.
I mean, okay, granted, a lot of people probably don't have access to flutes readily, but if you did and you were a dumb teenager and you saw this movie,
Yeah.
just saying. Just saying.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So, Ben, what are our TV recommendations this week?
All right. I've got two recommendations. Both are also from around 1999, but they are set actually in different time periods. One is Freaks and Geeks, which is coming of age high school drama. Famously ran only 1 year. Features a ton of future stars, and this probably ties more to the movies that came after American Pie, like the Judd Apatow movies, because a lot of them are in this, and Judd Apatow was working on it. But it feels very much of that era of teenagers, even though Freaks and Geeks is set in 1980, but it was that same kind of generation of stars that American Pie has. But then the show that I think actually probably, shares the most DNA with American Pie, in my opinion, is That 70s Show.
Yes, I
Which
like that.
is, I feel like, a network TV version of American Pie if there ever was one. It obviously doesn't get nearly as gross or as R-rated, but it certainly has the types, down to even the parents and their type of involvement in it and the types of teenagers. Obviously set in the 70s, but again, featuring a lot of major stars. Ashton Kutcher is obviously the Stifler of the group, as Kelso, and they did Dude, Where's My Car together. Um, so, so those are my two TV recommendations.
Great, thank you. Geoff, what are the movie recs?
So I'm going to cheat a little bit on this. So I've got three, quote unquote. So the first one feels pretty obvious to say, but super bad. Kind of the 2000s equivalent of a movie like this. And something that was very, very influential for a lot of young adults, or young people my age, and the time it came out, around 2007. So yeah, super bad, definitely topping the list. Number two is a newer movie that came out in 2018, I believe. It's called Blockers. So very similar sort of plot structure to this movie, gender swapped, featuring Catherine Newton and Geraldine Viswanathan. Sorry, she's awesome. And this is movies where I discovered them. I know Catherine Newton's done a lot of other stuff too, but it features girls who want to try to lose their virginity the night of prom, and their parents try to stop them. Parents are Leslie Mann, John Cena, and Ike Barinholtz. It gets ridiculous. It's very, very funny. A lot funnier than I thought it was going to be. So that's a good movie. And then number three is where I'm cheating a little bit. It's a triple header, and it's featuring young stars from this movie, also that came out either in 1999 or shortly after, and featuring them in other prominent roles. So we're going to start with Chris Klein. You're going to watch the 1999 dramedy Election, which I've already talked about. Then you're going to watch Natasha Lyonne in 1999 in her movie, But I'm a Cheerleader, and her journey of personal discovery. And then you're going to end it with Sean William Scott in Final Destination, where he plays a supporting character. Less D-baggy, more doofy, but a very welcome appearance. And he's actually pretty good in that movie, and a movie that I actually pretty much enjoyed. So throw in a triple header there at the end.
All right, thank you.
And I was going to ask before we jump into our top fours, brief thoughts on the sequels, because I'm, to American Pie.
Yeah, I really like the second one. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but I think it's up there pretty good. Like I mentioned before, I don't really remember if I've seen American Wedding, and I did see American Reunion. Don't remember much of it. It was probably meh.
Echoing Amanda's thoughts exactly. The exact same sort of thoughts. I have not actually seen 3 and 4, American Wedding nor American Reunion, but I have seen American Pie 2, and I liked it. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
We can add it to the list in case we ever want to watch it.
A soft recommend.
It's interesting to see where all the characters go in their relationships.
Yeah, the idea of doing like the wedding and then the reunion makes sense. But I do remember like when the reunion came out, like people didn't seem too psyched by it.
That was the legacy sequel before legacy sequels were milked for all
and I
their
think
worth
people
today.
had kind of like, I don't know, moved on. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't going to appeal to
Yeah.
current teenagers, obviously, and then the teenagers who grew up with it probably weren't as interested by that point.
Right. Plus, at this point, you've had spin-offs in the series that were not
Right.
very well received, and that I've
become
never seen.
the brand, I feel like, has gotten kind of diluted.
But it looks like it did well at the box office. I just looked it up. Budget significantly higher, $50 million, but it still grossed $235 million.
Mm-hmm.
So
What year did that one come out, Geoff?
That came out in 2012, April 2012. It debuted number 2 at the box office behind The Hunger Games.
Yeah, Yeah, I feel like maybe they didn't wait long enough.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe if they made one like today, people would
yeah. Like a
like
20-year
be like,
reunion.
ooh, yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I am
Or I
just
guess it'd be
realizing
25 reunion now. Jeez.
they can do it for 30.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I'm just realizing I didn't even tease our top four at the
you
beginning
didn't.
because I got all flustered and threw myself off. So we're doing our top four favorite pies today. Obviously, we had to do that. And so, Jeff, what are your favorite pies?
Ooh, you're gonna throw me under the bus here early on. Okay, so I'm gonna just say as an honorable mention, apple pie. Just not in the context of anything with this movie, but just apple pie is really, really good. Number 4 is the song "American Pie" by Don McLean. Great song. It's a bop. Number 3 is pie. 3.141592653. Going, going, going. I like math. Yay, math. Number
Uh-huh.
number 2 is this is a more sentimental one, but it is my mom's chocolate pie. For every single sort of holiday and gathering, my mom makes a little. Essentially, it's like a chocolate pudding, but it's in a pie crust and everything, and it's really, really good. I've always loved it, and it's good consistency. Really nails it. It reminds me of home a lot. So shout out, mom. I don't think you're probably listening this far into the episode, but if you are, hi. And your pie is really good. And then number 1 is Amanda's key lime pie that she recently made and won a pie making contest for at church.
Yay. Was that
Woot
really
woot.
your favorite pie?
It's really darn good.
Wow. Okay. I'll have to make it again.
Yep, please. Absolutely. You only made it like only like what one other time before then? It was the practice run and then you made that. Yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah, got to test out the recipe if you're going to put it in a competition.
Yeah, for real.
All right, Ben, what are your favorite pies?
All right. Well, I did not include songs or math numbers. I did think about including pizza, but I decided not to. So, my honorable mentions are mixed berry and then I once had a Concord grape pie that was really excellent.
Ooh,
That sounds
would be
really good.
There's a
awesome.
place near where I live called Portage Pie that has been featured on uh like some Food Network show at one point, but really good homemade pies. And they
Hmm.
had that Concord grape pie one fall that was delicious. But I've only had it once, so I didn't put it on the list. I, as a kid, did not like pies. I did not come of age with pies until that sounds weird after what we've done with this movie. But I did
Not
not
come
start
of age.
enjoying them really until like my 20s or maybe late teens. So I missed out, especially because my grandma was apparently like a wonderful pie maker, and by the time I liked pies, she wasn't really making them anymore.
Mm.
So that's unfortunate for me. Number four is number four is one I really like, but I feel like it's a little bit cheating to call it a pie, which is like the Toll House cookie pie. Which
Mm.
I feel like is more like almost more like a blonde brownie of sorts.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like it doesn't quite fit the rules. So that's why I'm putting it 4, even though I really love it. Because I love anything that's like warm chocolate chip cookie, blonde brownie family of foods. Number 3 is apple pie. And I am a little bit weird in the sense that my complaint about apple pie most of the time is that the ratio between apples and crust is too many apples most of the time for me.
Hmm.
I want like
Interesting.
just a small amount of apples with the crust, and I feel like people often stuff the apples in there.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's probably more of the majority opinion, so I don't usually get my way with that, but I always find that I want a little more crust and a little less apples. My number 2 is peanut butter chocolate pie.
Mm.
Um, Delicious, so good with the graham cracker crust. And then number 1 is blueberry pie. I like blueberry desserts are like my vice. I like all blueberry muffins, blueberry bagels, all sorts of blueberry things. So blueberry pie is my number 1.
Good to know.
Strawberry is my go-to fruit, but a good blueberry pie is just
Yeah. And
Unreal.
I have to two other things about pies. One, I have to have a cold glass of milk with them.
Hmm.
Like it's a must if they're warm, if they're a warm pie. Not so much if they're if it's been um out. But and then the other thing is I forgot the other thing. Oh no, I know what I was gonna say. Is I don't like any of the cream type ones, like banana cream, coconut cream.
Mm.
I'm not a big fan of that. I like the fruit pies more.
All right. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah,
I'll keep this in mind when I'm pie baking.
I know because I gave a lot of very specific rules for my pie enjoyment.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna make an apple pie like you want.
That's
That
fair.
just
Nobody does.
seems wrong. So for mine, my honorable mention is key lime pie. I feel like I'd actually never had a key lime pie, maybe probably until I made one just last week. So while it was delicious and I very much enjoyed it, I'm new to key lime pie. And I will just say, Ben, I feel like I related to what you were saying about like not being like huge into pies. I feel like it's not something that like my mom made very often. And so I don't think I've had a lot of different kinds of pies. When I was looking up recipes for this competition, I was like, huh, never had that kind, never had that kind, never had that one. So yeah. My number four is cherry pie. That is my favorite of the fruit. Well, yeah, like berry pies. I guess cherry's not a berry, is it? I don't know. Anyways, that's my favorite berry-esque pie.
I think it definitely fits in that category for sure.
Yeah, yeah, okay. My number three is peanut butter pie because I think that was the first pie that I learned how to make because that's what we did in home ec was we learned how to make a peanut butter pie. That was like the cooking section. And yeah, I just love peanut butter and you get that Oreo crust with it and just can't beat it. My number two is a chicken pot pie because so good.
Yum.
I
So
was
good.
wondering if someone would put that in.
Yeah, I just was like I have to.
What's
Like
hilarious, it never crossed my mind, weirdly. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's summertime, but yeah,
no,
that's a good one.
they're so good. I've never tried to make one from scratch, but I feel like they're probably a lot of work. And then my number one is very specifically a salted caramel apple pie that I made
Mm, mm-hmm.
last year or the year before that. I don't know, but I do love apple pie, and you just add the salted caramel to it, and it's just that much better. So that's my list.
No love for pumpkin pies or pecan pies.
No.
Mm.
Pecan pie is good, but it wouldn't make the cut.
Apple
Even
pie
with
is
my
like my
math.
saving grace at Thanksgiving because I'm not a fan of the traditional Thanksgiving pies.
Yeah,
There you go.
I don't like pumpkin, and until very recently, I thought I was allergic to pecan. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
Also,
I'm not a pumpkin person. I did try my mom makes a pecan pie
hmm,
which I had and it's just not quite my speed, but
sorry, Mom.
she makes it as well as anybody. It's just not my type of pie.
Also, you both mentioning peanut butter pie. Our friends from our church, their daughter submitted a peanut butter mousse pie for the same contest that Amanda was in. And I got a slice and forgot to share it with Amanda. And now I feel extra bad because she put it in her top four. You put it in your top four, Ben. And yeah,
rude.
I feel real bad.
You
So
should.
rude.
I really should. Amanda was guilting me the entire time, and she had every right to.
I was like, wow, didn't share that pie with me, huh?
Nope.
And I felt bad. Well, no, it made me feel bad because the pie that I picked to eat was not a very good pie, or I didn't personally like it. It was a fine pie. I just didn't like it that much. All right, well, that brings us to the end of our discussion about pie and about American pie. So,
Bye bye, Miss American
American
Pie.
Pie. Go my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. You know what's funny is that
we don't have time for that song.
I was about to say it's on my list. I don't really know all the words to it either, but it's okay.
Ay, ay, ay. All right. Well, if you would like to watch along with us for next week, we will be watching The Usual Suspects, which I believe is on Tubi. So go ahead and give that a watch and then tune in when we talk about it. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a rating or a review and follow us on all our social channels. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.
To infinity and beyond!
Why so serious?
I am serious. And don't call me Geoff.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.